Morality. It has long been a study of great intrigue, fascination, and debate. Throughout time, man finds himself questioning not only the bounds by which we define good and evil, but also the way in which we go about developing these ideas. An abstract field in its infancy, many became enthralled by the subject and decided to delve into the human psyche to seek moral truth.
Considered the first to scientifically study the concept of moral development was Piaget in the 1950s. He noted that younger children, those around 10 or under, tended to judge behavior in terms of consequences. Meanwhile, older children were capable of considering motives and other complex factors. Kohlberg sampled many people with a series of moral dilemmas. For example, the classical Heinz problem. His wife was dying from a form of cancer that a nearby druggist had recently developed a potential cure for. Heinz couldn't afford the drug. Ultimately, Heinz resorts to stealing the drug. Was he morally correct in doing so? He wasn't truly concerned as to whether his samples chose to say yes or no. Instead, he was more focused on their reasoning behind why. His is one of the most classic models that is used to measure moral development. Stage 1. Punishment and obedience. At this stage, children's moral metrics are based on what authority figures such as parents dictate to them. Stage 2. Individualism. At this point, children begin to recognize that there is more than one right way. As a result, they begin to pursue personal interest. What is right is whatever benefits the individual the most. Stage 3. Interpersonal relationships. At this point, individuals also begin thinking in terms of motives. This is when individuals begin to consider feelings such as trust, love, or empathy as important factors that play into determining morality. Stage 4. Social order. Stage 4 is concerned with society as a whole. The respondent becomes more broadly concerned with maintaining social order, and as a result, what is right is based on laws that are needed to maintain the order and good within society. Stage 5. Social construct. Stage 5 individuals basically believe that a good society is best conceived as a social contract into which people freely enter to work towards the benefit of all. Stage 6. Universal principles. This stage is one step even further than stage 5, where individuals begin to consider personal rights and the meaning behind values. Few, if any, people ever are capable of reaching this stage.
The study of morality doesn't stop there. How does one even begin to quantify or measure morality in the first place? Well, one of the well-studied metrics of morality is altruism, a philosophical phenomenon defined as a motivational state with the goal of increasing another person's welfare. We live in a society that celebrates and preaches the benefits and the value of being altruistic, or in common day terms, giving, compassionate, selfless, kind. Altruism exists as a social construct embedded in every aspect of our lives through bedtime stories, education, law, and societal beliefs. We teach our kids and ourselves to be giving, and though an admirable moral virtue, we as individuals set boundaries for how willing we are to be selfless towards others. So how much exactly is enough? How selfless are we?
Our group, consisting of Lily, Sophia, Lydia, and Labby, decided to use altruism as a metric or measure of morality. Our question is, does age change how people view moral principles? For our hypothesis, we stated that older individuals will not only have a more altruistically inclined response, but also be more set in their decisions. So for our experiment, we had people answer moral dilemmas on surveys through Facebook and other interviews, in which they provided an age and an answer. We had 89 responses. 39 of those had an age. The average age was 19. Overall in our graph, we had the most listed response as 17 years old. We also had a range of 14 to the mid-50s. For our survey, we provided a range of questions that went from charity to self-sacrifice. So is age really just a number? Let's find out.
Hey,
please state your name and your age.
Riaz Rezi, 17.
I'm Paul Rodriguez. I am 46 years old.
Go ahead.
Nicole Kim, 17.
I'm Thomas Mosig, and I'm pushing 50.
I'm Kelly, I'm 18.
My name is Natalie Harper, and I'm 38 years old.
Scenario 1. Say you've been saving up for something that you've really wanted, and now you have a total of $20. How much of that $20 would you give away to charity if you were given the following options?
It depends on the situation. Like if I'm at a grocery store and somebody has a thing out, I'd probably say I'd donate maybe $1 more than anything. I want to feel like I give, but I also want that thing I want to buy. So.
Okay.
I'd honestly probably give $5 because I could just wait another week. Like, I don't need it right away. So.
I donate through to the American Association of Physics Teachers, so it's not something like, oh, I saved up $20 to go out and buy a new Hot Wheel for my son. Okay, I'm $10 for that and $10 to charity, or I do the donation at a different time, so I usually don't do those at the same time.
$1 and why? I feel like that's like the usual amount I give, and so like consistently I would give out $1 whenever it comes around.
Scenario 2. You are driving home and you're in a rush. On the way home, you suddenly see a small figure dart across the road. It's a puppy. However, you don't know if the puppy is diseased or flea-ridden. Do you pick it up or not?
I'll pick it up, yeah, for sure. What kind of person doesn't pick up a puppy in the middle of a road? Come on.
Well, this actually happened to my wife and I a couple months ago, and we stopped. Of course, she almost forced me to, but we stopped and we picked up the dog and we took it back to our house, and we ended up having a collar on, so we ended up calling the owner and getting it back to their house or whatever. But I would say, based on past experience, I would probably stop and try to help the dog.
I probably won't pick it up because I'm in the middle of the road and I'm driving, and I don't want to stop and just get out and then get killed.
Does this have to be truthful?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop and pick up an animal.
Why?
But whoever's dog that is, that's their responsibility. And most likely I have a kid in my car, and it's illegal to leave your kid in the car alone. So I would not. Somebody else who is a kind, animal-loving soul is gonna pick up that puppy, especially if it's a puppy.
Consider the same scenario as the last question. However, this time it's a man. You don't know if he's lost or homeless. You also do not know his intentions. Do you or do you not help him?
I'd probably just go outside and see if he's okay, because I'm not trying to get stabbed, but I'm also not trying to let a person die.
I probably want to help him because assuming that I'm alone and I'm really small, if he's bad, then he can beat me up really easily.
You start touching on the idea of personal safety. I mean, I was driving home from someplace. There's an old lady just standing on the street looking very befuddled and waving at cars, so I stopped and rolled the window down. She says, oh, I missed my ride. Could you take me over to the church over here? 90-year-old woman, not much of a threat, you know. A strange-looking guy that hasn't shaved and bathed in 4 months. I've seen a lot of weird people on the street, and you don't necessarily want to stop.
Would definitely do my civic duty and call not 911, but call the police department nearest where that man is. But I mean, I have a baby in the car.
Scenario 4. You are in charge of a switch that can change the path of a runaway trolley. There are 5 people tied down on the track right in the train's path and 1 person on the alternate route. The 5 will die if you do nothing. However, you can save them either by switching the train's path, killing the 1 person, or by jumping in front of the train yourself, killing yourself. What will you do? And assume your body will provide enough friction to stop the trolley.
Really don't know if in that moment, if I would have enough courage to jump in front of that train myself. I mean, I think I would, just because I don't think I could live with myself.
I probably, if I don't know these people, would not sacrifice myself. And if I was given that situation where it's choose 5 or 1, I would probably do all I could to save the 5 and let the 1 go.
This is really bad, but I probably won't do anything because if I push the lever, then I'm gonna have the guilt of killing the one person, like it was my actions that did it. But then, like, I know if you look at the numbers, it'd be a lot worse to kill 5 people, but I honestly don't think I'd be able to do that in the moment.
You know, if you have kids that people depend on you and you have to help them, I mean, you know, now you're thinking, well, do I sacrifice my 2 kids to save 2 people here that I don't know?
I feel like by default, like if it just came out of nowhere, then probably just switch to the one that killed like 1 person because of obvious reason. Like 1, it's like I'm saving myself, and then 2, I'm saving 5 people as opposed to like 1 person.
No! Again, I have a kid. I suppose I would switch it to the 1. I would not jump in front of the train myself. Wow, I'm really altruistic, aren't I?
In scenario 1, we found that as the amount of dollars increases, fewer people are willing to donate, showing an inverse correlation between altruism and self-interest, with 55.1% donating 1, 25.8% donating 5, 15.7% donating 10, and 3.4% donating 20. However, most people were willing to donate at least $1 and felt the need to help. This shows that people of all ages can sense when help is needed, but only answer that call for help if it does not conflict with their self-interests. In scenarios 2 and 3, we found once again that people display altruism by helping the puppy or man, depending on how much their decision affects their self-interests. Even though a majority for both scenarios said that they would not help the puppy or man, a much larger percentage, 78.7% compared to 53.9%, said they would not help the man. Most people who had differences between their answers for scenarios 2 and 3 said that they would not help the man because people are much harder to trust while an animal has no ulterior motives. The main reason people chose not to help was due to personal safety reasons rather than not wanting to help. Many older survey takers with children took into account their children's safety much more and more heavily than their own, indicating that while they do not show altruism for a stranger, they are much more altruistic for their family as a whole. Scenario 4 is a perverted take on the trolley problem, which was originally devised by Philippa Foot in 1967. Although we received 89 responses for the previous scenarios, we received only 88 responses for the trolley scenario. Perhaps the 4th scenario was too gruesome for the survey takers to choose an option. 65.9% opted to switch the train's path, killing the 1 person, while 21.6% opted to jump in front of the train, sacrificing themselves. 12.5% chose to do nothing, leaving the 5 to die. This shows that most survey takers chose to take the utilitarian option, considering the benefit of the majority. In the interviews we conducted, younger individuals had a tendency to either switch the train's path or jump in front of the train themselves, while older individuals had a more difficult time making a decision, as they took their children and responsibilities into account. Some older interviewees admitted that they would jump in front of the train to save the 5, but only if the 5 were their children or loved ones. Many older interviewees were hesitant to jump in front of the train, as they had to provide for their family and take care of their children.
In conclusion, through our investigation, we realized that our hypothesis is actually wrong and that older people and participants exhibit more doubt in terms of their decision-making for moral dilemmas due to their personal responsibilities to their children, personal safety, their children's safety, and experiences in their lives that have influenced the way that they view ethics. Moreover, younger participants exhibited more brashness as well as certainty in their responses compared to their older counterparts, which could be attributed to their maturity development. While the older individuals in the interviews showed doubt in many cases, adolescents proved to be more impulsive, which is neither good nor bad, but rather subjective considering the situation. For example, impulsiveness could be beneficial in a situation where a person needs to act rather quickly. The study of morality is fascinating, where every individual has their own or multiple interpretations of life as they grow older. And as we age, we can always hope to become not only wiser and kinder, but, with any luck, more morally sound.